The United Nations is urging the government and the people of Ghana not to take its democratic stability and peace for granted. The country has successfully held general elections and has gained the accolade of being the beacon of democracy in Africa. However, given the recent military overthrows in West Africa, including neighboring Burkina Faso, and a sharp rise in protests across the country, the United Nations is worried that the country's peace could be jeopardized. Speaking on foreign affairs, Charles Abani, the UN resident coordinator in Ghana, intimated that the principles of good governance and transparency ought to be strengthened and that Ghanaians should not take their peace for granted.
Third area is on durable peace. Both in Ghana and sub-regionally. Right. Ghana has a strong history of being a peaceful nation, but it's surrounded by a lot of conflict at the moment.
You're concerned about that?
In all areas, from the Sahel, and even, as we know, the Gulf of Guinea yes. Has some of the highest, the highest rates of piracy in the world, bar none. And so working on peace and security is important. And if you look at the foundational principles of the United Nations, it's peace, security, and development, right? And we know that without peace, actually, there is no development.
The belief is we should be supporting democratic institutions just to uphold and to keep up the morale just as we move on, because what we see is that democracy appears to be in recession in the West African sub-region. Do you share the same view?
Of course we do. Clearly, we've had 3 coups and 3 changes of government undemocratically in the sub-region. And the president of Ghana has done a good job in terms of trying to rally the forces when he was chair of ECOWAS, and continues to push that. But we know that at the center of progress, I call governance, good governance, I call it the fluid that runs in the pipes, if you like, the grease. Right. Because without it, nothing will happen. And we see rises in protests when injustice, unfairness, inequity seems to be at its highest. And so for us, governance, transparency, accountability, these are threads that run through everything that the UN does. Ghana, like with being a peaceful country, also has an enviable track record on the continent around elections.
That's the live on Joy News today. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you the very latest from the world of business.